Hello everyone. Today I'm going to be doing my first Oracle card review. So, some of you may know that I'm uh, an Oracle cartologer. So, I read the energy of Oracle cards, and you could say that I'm a cartomancer or a card reader, whatever term you like to use. And so I have a lot of card decks. I have a lot of Oracle cards, and I have a few Oracle tarot decks. I uh, I think I actually do have like one or two actual tarot decks, but most of them are Oracle versions of the tarot deck, which is different, and the energy is also different. So today I'm opening for the first time my Mystical Shaman Oracle. Look how fancy that box is, and hmm, very interesting stuff. Yeah, there you go. Now you can see it. So, Mystical Shaman Oracle. When I first saw this, I actually wasn't really drawn to it, but now that I've grown and developed is the key word. Now that I've developed more in my spiritual practice and abilities, I've I guess it's okay for this now. So let's see, we got this, then we got the book, and this is by one of my favorite Oracle authors. Her name is Colette Baron Reed, and actually I do want to make like my own Oracle deck too, but that's gonna be a project for a future time. Let's see. Oracle Shaman Guidebook. I don't recognize these other names. Alberto Violdo, Marcela Lobos. Hmm. It seems like these are the co-authors. So this was illustrated by Jenna de la Grotaya, and she has a very distinct art style. So I'm very familiar with her work. She does the illustrations for the Good Tarot, um, and other Oracle decks by Colette Baron Reed. And she has like this very gentle type of uh, uh, what's that term called? It's the style of making artwork where you take different photos and splice them together to create a new piece of artwork, and then you can also do stuff on top of it, like making watercolors and stuff. So she does that type of work, and she usually is very like chill and mellow, but these are really dark. So this is the first card, and yeah, there. So when you take out like the thing, like you can actually see like how dark it is. It seems really bright because the light is just like right behind my my laptop camera, but this is some really dark stuff. Ooh, I really like this. Beauty Way, card number 4. That's really beautiful. So it's a lotus flower, the dragonfly, and there's all sorts of spiritual symbolism in here. There's circles like everywhere, and it's common for oracle decks to have this type of spiritual imagery or spiritual symbolism that weaves throughout the entire work. For example, in Wisdom of the Oracle by Colette Baron Reed, there's a face in every single card. Even if it's just like a scenery, there will be a face on it. So in this one, she has circles, and there's a dark and a light circle and like a medium circle. So there's circles of different colors and different intensities. So one probably represents yang, one represents yin, and then some of them, the yin and the yang, are a similar size. Some of them, the yin and the yang, are different sizes. Let's see. So let's see. We have the ancient ones. Ooh, the Andean cross. I'm actually not familiar with that term, the Andean cross. The arrow, the beautiful way, the beloved, the blade. And I actually got this deck because I saw somebody on YouTube doing a tarot reading using this deck. And I was just like, oh, I recognize that deck. That's the mystical shaman oracle. And when she used it and was like describing the stuff and the symbolism that she saw in it, I was just like, oh, that's really cool. I want to get that deck now. And if you're not familiar with Emmy Evolving, that's the YouTuber I'm talking about. She's energy worker, as am I, and she does energy readings also using cards. Her energy reading is a bit different from how I do it though, because her energy reading, she's like talking to the energy itself, and then the energy translates into the cards, and then she interprets that. So I'm like the other way around. So I let the energy come in through the cards first so that the energy can show me a pathway or a map. And then I communicate with the energy. That's what I interpret. So we have some other stuff in here that's really interesting. And the reason why I really like this deck so far, just from my first impressions, is there's a lot of cards in here that make it very versatile as opposed to other Oracle decks. And you have very symbolic cards like the arrow, the beauty way, the beloved, the blade. You know, the blade can mean so many different things depending on the energy of the reading, the person, and the current state they're in and their life. We have the child, we have the circle, we have a completion with the mystical Ouroboros, that esoteric symbol. We have corn. Corn can mean so many things. Also, it's harvest season with the yang in full over the corn, so you have like noon thing going on. And then we have the council. Council. Oh, that sounds very shaman, like ancestral stuff. Ancestral council probably. My style of reading is not rooted in ancestral stuff or through spirits. So I would probably use the energy in a completely different way than how it's intended in this deck. And that's also the other nice thing about Oracle decks, is they're very flexible. If you're very well versed in your particular way of doing card readings, you can pretty much pick up any deck and use it and accurately give a card reading for somebody. And this was actually one of the things that I did for fun, was, hey, I'm going to pick this card deck because this card deck wants to say something to you. And I haven't used it before, but that's where the adventure is. And I did that with my friends in Hawaii. I did that with my former spiritual mentor. And then every time I did that, they're just like, oh boy, what is this? Because if a particular card deck is speaking to me to want to convey a particular message, it means there's a particular card in there that is not in any other deck that is essential in conveying that message across. For example, one of the decks that I don't really use is called the Cosmic Energy Oracle. I think that's what it was called. And then there was a card in there called the Shadow Self. And I have so many different decks. My friends have all kinds of decks, and I have not seen a single deck with a card called the Shadow Self. So when I saw that in the reading, I was like, ah, this is why. It's this card. This is the particular card that your true self, your higher self, wants to use to really convey and um, use that card as the key conveyor of the main message. And sometimes there's more than one. For that one, that particular reading, there's definitely more than one. So we also have the Crow. Ooh, I love this one. Okay, the Curse. And there's a particular reason why I love this, because I grew up thinking I was cursed. So being cursed is just a particular mindset. Um, you're you're lulled into believing that things are a particular certain way because there's so many cycles of it and so many recurring instances that reinforce that reality that you are in. So it's kind of like, how can there be another reality that's different from this? You know, one of those things was like, I used to think that I would not ever be happy, and that I can help other people be happy, but I myself would not ever be happy. It would just be like momentary. Like, it's not possible for me to be happy or to have friends or to find somebody. And it's funny that I'm saying that now because I don't really have friends at the moment. There's been such a huge energetic shift as we're moving into the next decade, so like everybody's just like scattered into the winds. And I don't know what's happening with many people. Actually, I do have a couple of friends still. Yeah, yeah. I do have a couple of friends still, but like everybody else has just kind of like fallen away. They're doing their own thing, I'm doing my own thing, and we don't contact each other. So it's just, it's something that's I don't want to say normal, but it's it's not really surprising because we're at the end of a decade, starting a new decade, and sometimes friends that we've had, even for a very long time, or friends that we think we're going to have forever, no longer flow in alignment with what we're what we're going to do, or what we're doing is actually different from what we thought we were going to do, or what the path in how we're going to get to where we want to go, our main milestone that we want to accomplish in this life, our sole purpose, the mechanism or the path and the things that we're going to do to get there have shifted because we've realized that, oh, in order for me to get there, it's necessary for me to build a foundation in this and or other stuff. So for myself, for myself, I realized that the voice is one of the most essential components for our spiritual quartet, our foundational spiritual quartet. We have the body, the mind, emotions, and the voice. The voice is often left out, but it's actually very important. So I've been going on a vocal journey, and now I'm going to be doing stuff that's vocally related. So whether that's voice acting or singing or something, I'm gonna be doing something that's vocally related while still doing other spiritual stuff. Making YouTube videos about about vocal stuff is of course going to be relevant also. All right, we have a particularly dark card called the Drum. I'm curious what that's about. And then we have animals in here too. So we got the eagle. I like that. The artwork in this is awesome. Earth. That is something that's completely in line with Jenna. Gina. I'm not sure how you say her name. It's Jena, not Jenna, so, you know, that could either be Gina or Jenna. Let's see. The Earthkeeper. Ooh la la. Very powerful card. Fire. Oh my god! Look at this. Card number 20. Flow. Ah! I love that. It's so beautiful. She's basically like a waterbender. That's that's so up my alley. When I watched the last Airbender, I'm like, dude, I'm a total waterbender. When I play like rhythm games, it's like I'm doing Tai Chi, so it just like goes hand in hand. Got the Gather. Oh, we have the Ghost Dance. Another really, really dark card. Look how dark that is. It's dark, but it's also muted. Ah, it's very muted. If you're not familiar with color terms, muted means that it's grayed out. So let's see. The giveaway. Giveaway. Oh, I like this one. This is one of the things that I strangely was one of the cards that I did not like and was why I didn't want to get this deck. And then now it's one of the reasons why the deck appeals to me now. It's very interesting. Like, I think it's partly because it's something really deep that I connected to recently. It probably has something to do with my voice also. And there's other stuff in this too. I mean, it's very interesting because we have a feminine figure here, which is yin, but it's called the heart of the sky, and the sky is yang. And then we were dealing with the heart, so the heart is yin and yang. So it's very interesting. Heart is yin and yang, sky is yang. Then we have a feminine figure, yin. So we have a yin, yang, and yin yang in this one card. And then we also have a bit of that yin yang going on with the way that it's composed. So if you look at the dark areas, this part over here is nice and dark. So we have the yin, then we have this part. So the negative space is very dark, and then we have the positive, which is light. So even just how the card was designed is very spiritual. We have the yin yang there too. And it's card number 24. So two, you know, yin yang, that's two aspects of a whole. And then we have four, which is the yin yang in the yin yang. So there's light aspects or yang aspects in the yin, and there's yin aspects in the yang. So the card, it's just really interesting how it works out that way. And what else do we have here? Yeah, I mean, I could talk about one particular card for like 15 minutes, but I'm not gonna make that this video that long. So let's see. Holy Mountain, we got some cool stuff. Hummingbird. Hummingbird's a very spiritual and awesome spirit animal. This is something that you don't often see in decks either, so that also adds to the versatility of this deck. Another very nice addition to it. The color of the hummingbird in this one is green, so that could be something related to the heart chakra. Hummingbirds also are very quick, so that can relate to speed. It can relate to a transitional period. So if you're thinking about like traditional tarot, the hummingbird would be like the tower card. But in traditional tarot, the tower tends to be like a scary kind of thing. The hummingbird is like the positive version of a tower card. So you know, there's a shift going into a light direction or something that's very good for you. We have the Hunter. Hunter, nice powerful card. Looks like a very controlled chaos. We have a very, very dark card here called the Jaguar. That's a really nice one. It's actually really nice that there's so much light because you wouldn't be able to see so much detail if you saw like how dark this was. So I'm actually seeing things in this card that don't really stand out to me when I'm looking at it in this lighting up here. Very cool stuff. And there's the moon right next to the Jaguar. It's to the Jaguar's left side. So emotional connection right there. Let's see. We have a card called the Journey. Ooh, we have a card called Lightning. So Lightning, if you're not familiar with Oracle, also corresponds to the Tower card. It's a sudden surge of energy. It's a shift. But it could also be other stuff in tarot. I'm not like fully versed in tarot, so I don't know what the other card would be, but there's lightning is very indicative of that type of change. And lightning is a double-edged sword also, so if it shows up reversed, it means that you can get burned. There's a card called the Lower World. I like that. The lower world can mean many different things depending on who your reader is. First thing that comes to mind is the lower world is your deep conscious mind, the yin part of our mind. Psychology calls it the subconscious, but I call it the deep conscious, just so that we stop creating these invisible compartments within our mind, because the conscious and subconscious and superconscious and all this conscious stuff has been so misused over the years that it's actually created splits in people's minds. So the mind is supposed to be one whole aspect, but because of how psychology is taught today and how people perceive psychology, people now think that the subconscious is like a separate part of themselves that they don't have access to, which is not true. We have a card called Magic, Master card, Master number 33. That's awesome. That's a really nice synchronistic coincidence right there. Master number 33, Magic, numerology 6, and 3 in resonance. We have a card called Many Paths. So Many Paths is the path of life. It's the journey of life. We have a card called the Medicine Wheel. Card number 35. Middle World. This is a really nice one. Okay, so Middle World. Middle World can mean many things also. If you're thinking about Middle World in terms of the conscious, the mind, the middle world is the place between your conscious and your subconscious, and it's the part where a lot of the stuff gets lost in translation because people don't have this smooth connection or awareness of what's happening in the different levels of their mind, the different depths. So the mind isn't like an iceberg, it's more like an ocean. So the deeper you go, the darker it gets, because we're not trained or we're not taught how to bring light or awareness, right? Awareness is light. So we're not taught how to bring that into the deeper parts of the ocean. So the middle world is like this part where there's still some light, but it's very murky and difficult to see things. And that's where a lot of stuff gets lost in translation. That's where a lot of the stuff that we don't want anymore in our life gets stuck. and doesn't get processed, and on its way up into our conscious we habitually suppress it, so it gets stuck in this middle world. So you can think of middle world as purgatory. That's also a very good way. It's a cognitive or mental purgatory. It's stuff that your mind is trying to bring up, and you're like, no, 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 that's too painful. I don't want to think about that. That's too stressful. But if you don't think about it, I mean, your mind is bringing this up for a reason, because it hasn't been processed, and in order for it to stop manifesting in your life and to stop affecting you, you got to deal with it. You can choose when to deal with it. You don't have to just deal with it now, like, oh my God, like I just thought of that now. What does that mean? You don't have to do that. You can just be like, okay, this is something that's coming up. I better deal with it before it explodes. So a lot of that stuff gets lost in the middle world. That's how, just I would interpret it, um, looking at it at first sight. But, it depends on the person too. Middle world can mean something totally different. It could mean the present moment. The moon, that's really pretty. It shows the different phases of the moon. So we have the full moon in the center, which is interesting. I was confused. I was like, wait, 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 what's going on here? How come there's no full moon? Oh, wait, never mind, it's in the center. And then the new moon is up in the upper left corner. So very interesting stuff. Interesting. And we got some Fibonacci swirls in the bottom. And we got the Mystical Shaman, card number 38. That's a cool card too. We got the Owl. That's a really nice card also. Pachamama. That's literally what it says. I don't know what Pachamama is, so maybe I'll take a look at the guidebook and we'll find out what Pachamama is. That's card number 40. So that's probably significant. We got Rainbow. That's really nice. There's a bird, looks like a type of parrot. The eyes are really small though, so I think this is artwork. This is not based on an actual parrot. So that's really pretty. This reminds me of like Ho-Ho in Pokemon, but just more realistic looking. We got the Rainmaker. I like that. And the Rainmaker, Waterbenda. Oh, that's interesting. We have a card called the Rattle. The Sacrifice. The Sacrifice. We got the Seer. I just think of Apollo. The Serpent. That's a nice one. Smoky Mirror. Oh, Smoky Mirror. I like that. Oh, the Sorcerer. Also me. I love magic. And anything like magical. Oh! I like things that are magical related. We have a card called Soul Retrieval. This is very important. Soul Retrieval is very important. The only other deck that I have and know of currently that has a card called Soul Retrieval is the Isis Oracle. That's the second deck I ever bought. The Spiral, card number 50. I like this. Number 5. 5-0. 5 is the number of making choices and decisions. Do you want to make decisions that are moving you outside of your cycles, or do you want to make decisions that are within the realm of your ken? What you're used to, what you know, what you're familiar with, your ken, Ken. So the spiral asks you to use your divine judgment and spiritual knowledge in this choice making. 5-0. Your spiritual soul power. Do you want to use this three-dimensional aspect of a spiral where you're going up this way? Like when a bird goes up, they go up in a larger spiral because that's what helps them get off the ground with the least amount of effort. That's where the vortex goes. And if you also look at a tornado, the tornado also gets smaller as it goes down. So spirals are not something that are flat. We're used to thinking of spirals as something flat because we're used to seeing a two-dimensional depiction of it, but spirals, just like everything else in the universe, is three-dimensional. It's geometric. Reality is geometric. Okay. Let's see. We got the staff. We got standstill. Standstill. Ooh. I don't remember what tarot card that is, but in um, a lot of other oracle decks, this would be like the ice card, the ice queen. You know, something cold or ice related. We got the sun. Oh, we got the sweat lodge. We got some processing going on. The sweat lodge is where you detox yourself. So when you do spiritual work, that's actually being in a sweat lodge. Taming the wind. Ooh, thunder. Thunder, that's nice. Thunder's not something that you see very common either. Oh, this I have not seen before. The Time Master. The Time Master. The Tree of Life. Okay. And then we get to the upper world now. So the upper world, this can represent two different things based on how you view the mind. So if we're viewing the world, the world in terms of our mind, because what you think, what you are, is what your reality is. So if we're thinking about it in terms of the mind, this can either be your superconscious or your conscious mind. Let's see. I think this would be more the conscious mind, just by the looks of it. It's very dark. It's very dark. It looks, and the other thing that I say, it's more the conscious mind for me. The way I look at it is because you see like an opening here. So you have like your conscious mind, and there's an opening toward your superconscious. So it's beyond the upper world. Vision Quest. I like this. I have another. I have a native spirit oracle deck that I will make a video on also. We have water. Let's see. Vision Quest. Yeah. So Vision Quest is a very like shamanistic thing. It's something that you see in a lot of Indian type of cultural stuff. I'm talking about like American Indians, the Native Americans. So we have Wild Woman, we have the Wind, and we have the Witness. So this deck has 64 cards, which is really nice. I like decks that have a lot of cards. And it's one thing to have a lot of cards, but it's also another thing to have a really diverse set of symbols to work with. So just first impression, bravo. I'm glad I'm I'm saying bravo to myself because I got this, because this is a really nice deck. If you want to get a reading, just contact me. So, oh my god, look at that! I opened up right to Pachamama. However you say that. Pachamama. Pachamama. So, Pachamama represents the unconditional love that the earth has for all her children, including the stones, the plants, the animals, and humans. She is the goddess of earth. Oh, okay, also known as Gaia. I am very familiar with Gaia. Okay, let's see. Who pervades all creation in our planet? Thanks to Pachamama, our timeless soul can experience life in a biological body. That is absolutely true. Thank you, Pachamama, Gaia, Ayahuasca, um, Papa, whatever the Hawaiian name is. Papa for short in Hawaiian. Let's see. The joy and pain we taste during our brief time on Earth are invitations to discover the boundless love of Pachamama. That I would rephrase. That is not something. Yeah, no. I get the idea though. It's nice. I love the imagery and the direction that they're going to. But because of all of the holistic and energy stuff that I work with, it is not the earth, it is not the universe and all this other stuff that is giving us pain. It's actually ourselves. Okay, we experience things because we don't know how to process something, we don't know how to work with the energy. We were taught to handle the energy a certain way, which is usually resistance, and resistance is the source of all pain. Okay, so it doesn't actually matter what like the universe or the earth or all these other people throw at you. The way in which you experience the energy is the source of all your pain. So, that's why some people go through some really catastrophic physical stuff and you'd be just like, "Oh my God, how can they even be conscious without anesthesia?" And it's like um because they're just going into this survival mode. And when you go into like the survival mode, anything's pretty much possible. Like you can do all kinds of like superhuman stuff because you're just so connected and tapping into your energetic potential. The first story that I'm remembering just thinking about that is this one woman who lifted a car with one hand to pull her husband out after a disaster. I think it was a hurricane or something like that happened. So she lifted a whole car, not like the whole car, but she lifted the car enough by herself to pull her husband out, and then she dragged her husband some several miles to a hospital so that he could get treated, and he survived. And she did that all by herself. So she turned into a superwoman because she was not thinking from here, from a box of limitation. She was just completely connected. And when you're connected, when you're so into the moment, you're in the zone. That's like what the sports thing is. That's the phenomenon of in the zone. It's just this really intense connection with this moment, with your body, with this reality, with everything in it. And you can do all sorts of amazing things when you have that. Let's see. Patch Mama. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, Connection's fantastic. It helps us let the energy flow. Now, yeah, so if you want to live a life of that's less pain and less suffering, learn what you're resisting, learn where you learned how to resist, learn why you're resisting it, and then learn how to relax and to allow the energy to flow. And then your pain will just like magically disappear. But it's not magic, it's just energy flowing. When energy flows, things don't hurt. And uh, this whole understanding of energy has completely transformed how I eat and how I see things and all this other stuff. Like it's looking into the sun doesn't hurt my eyes anymore. It would be like if I look at the sun during noon, it'll be like, whoa, that's really bright. But it's not like before, like, oh my God, I'm gonna get cataracts and all that crazy stuff that we're taught to believe from science. Like if you look at the sun, it's bad for your eyes, you'll go blind, you'll get cataracts, all this stuff. And it's like, no, no, none of that is true. But that doesn't mean that you should go staring into the sun because if you're not ready to handle that type of energy, it can harm you, right? So that's what pain is. It's also energy that we're not capable of handling. That's why we ask for help. That's why it's good for us to go for guidance. It's good to get readings, right? Because that gives us perspective on what we're working to, what we're working through, what we're experiencing, what's coming up for us. Because when you're in the midst of all this dark, goopy stuff and shiza, it's difficult for you to think clearly and really get um, hunkered down and process what you're going through. Now then, let's see. Whew, what else can I say about this? I really like this deck. I didn't think I would like it this much, actually. So good job, Colette, Alberto, and Marcella, and fantastic job, Jenna. Yeah, I'm just gonna go with Jenna. Fantastic job, Jenna, on the illustrations. She's definitely grown a lot in her artwork. I will say though, I'm not going to get the Goddess Oracle. There's nothing in that appeals to me, and just like the way it's made and all that other stuff. Like there's nothing that appeals to me. When I first saw it, I was like, "Ooh, I really want that," because I like the cover. I like that it was, it's made by Colette Baron Reid and all this other stuff. But looking through all the stuff, I'm just like, nah. It's just another Oracle deck that pays homage to the Divine Feminine, and really isn't anything different about it that I don't already have access to, because I do have other Divine Feminine Oracle decks. I think I have Kuan Yin. No, I don't know if I have Kuan Yin. I have the Isis Oracle. That's basically a Divine Feminine deck. I have the Good Tarot, which has a lot of Divine Feminine in it. I also have what else? I have Wisdom of the Golden Path. That's like 80% Divine Feminine stuff in there. I also have the Chakra Wisdom Tarot, which is entirely focused on the Divine Feminine and the journey of developing your Divine Feminine energy. So there really isn't anything. Oh, and I also have the Crystal Mandala Oracle that has all these goddesses in there. So in terms of what that deck, that the Goddess Oracle offers, there really isn't anything that would benefit me as a reader. I'm looking for something that's like this. This is freaking awesome. It's fantastic. And if it's just like a whole bunch of, divine feminine figures with stuff that they're um, stuff that they're helping you with, I already have that. I already have that. And I really like the Crystal Mandala one. Um, I don't know when I'm gonna do that one, but that's by Alana Fairchild. And that one has mandalas, it has crystals, and it has goddesses and angels and gods and other stuff in it. So I really like that one because it's a three for, you're getting three things in every single card. And props and kudos to the author for making that, and the artist for pulling it off, because that's a really beautiful deck. It's one of the cards card decks that I use to add a dimension and energetic support for whoever I do a reading for. All right. So let's see. Let's pick a card to finish off this video. What card? Oh, maybe something to do with my next video? No. Let's keep it related to this video and this deck. So, what is a card that is very symbolic for this particular deck? That is something that you would want you, meaning the deck, would want somebody who might be interested in this deck to know. So let's see. There was a card that was kind of there, but as I started formulating my question, the energy was like, nope, nope, not that card, not that card. It was gonna fall out, but it didn't. Okay. Oh, we got it. The middle world. Card number 36. The middle world. Now let's take a look at the guidebook to see what the author has written for the middle world. So, the middle world is the realm of day-to-day reality, meaning our present, and the playground of the living. Yeah, you could say that. It is the present moment where everything is happening. That's disputable, but the present moment is very important. Yet the middle world is created by the future, not only the past. Okay, so let's backtrack. This part is very key and very important. This person really knows their spiritual stuff. It is the present moment where everything is happening. Yet the middle world is created by the future, not only the past, and it is a mirror of the invisible realms. I will also add that the future is a mirror of the past. If you do not resolve your past, if you do not learn your lessons, and you continue choosing the same options that you were given in the past and you thought you had in the past, because there's all kinds of options that are available if you go out looking for them. But those options will lead to new things, and so you're left with that dilemma. Do I do something different? And also, is it truly different, or is it just something that looks different but is actually the same as something you've done in the past? So that's also a trap that a lot of people fall into. The future is a mirror of the invisible realms and the past for that reason. So when things are right in the middle world, heaven and earth support everything. Okay, when things are right in the middle world, heaven and earth support everything. So heaven, the cosmos, galaxy, celestials, all that jazz, and the earth. So the earth below and the heaven above support everything. So we're in the middle of all of that. When they are not right, heaven and earth must be brought into order as well. Okay, that's a little confusing. What is they? Things. Okay, so when things are not right, heaven and earth must be brought into order as well. There's a I'm seeing what they're saying, but the energy is jumping. So if somebody who's new to spiritual stuff is reading this, they'll be like, "Huh? What?" It's confusing because the energy is not flowing. So there's in between here. When things are not right, it also doesn't help that they switch to they. When things are not right, they must be brought into order. And heaven and earth must be brought into order as well. That's what I'm seeing the energy flowing to. So I'm seeing this, and then I'm seeing this, and I'm seeing what's in the middle. So that's where the words are coming from. I'm finding words to describe what I'm seeing, how I'm seeing the energy flow. Let's see. So if you're wondering how I get out of confusion, that's how I do it. I ask questions. Da, 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 da. So, okay. There's three parts to each card. The essence, which is what I just read, the invitation, and the medicine. So let's see what the invitation's about. The middle world shows up when conditions are favorable to your undertaking. Okay, so it's basically saying that the middle world is a card that's telling you that opportunities are right for you to go to. The conditions are favorable. Do not hesitate. Move forward as heaven and earth are smiling upon you. What I'm confused about is they capitalize earth, but they don't capitalize earth here, and they don't capitalize heaven. So, yeah, there's a bit of a disconnect. But I don't know if that's the author or the editor or something like that, because things can get lost in translation when an editor looks at the stuff too. Especially if you have an editor that's not spiritual, then they'll probably like, oh, that's not supposed to be capitalized. You know, that's not a proper noun, that's not supposed to be capitalized. I'm going to put that into a lowercase. You know, like that kind of thing happens a lot. So, do not hesitate, move forward because conditions are favorable, as heaven and earth are smiling upon you. The time is right, so be expedient, but mindful of not being reckless. The world is your playground, and what you would require great effort at any other time can be accomplished with ease now. Okay, so what they're saying in this particular moment is that the energy is going well. So that's really interesting. I think that actually applies to me in this moment too, which is awesome. So let's see. Take action, but be mindful. Okay, so make sure you know what you're doing and what you're doing is in line with your intuition. And then the medicine. I'm guessing the medicine is, I don't know. Let's just read and then find out. Okay, do not try to correct in the earth what needs to be corrected in the heavens. What? Okay, do not correct in the earth what needs to be corrected in the heavens. The resources to support the change or endeavor you are considering are not readily available to you yet. So it's important to ask for help from the invisible realms, from helpers in the upper world. For now, wait. Okay, so the medicine, that's like a complete contrast to the invitation. So that means the medicine is the card in reverse. This isn't symmetrical though. The I mean the backside, it looks because I have a very keen sense of color and visual acuity, I can tell if this is upside down or not because this the this side is darker. And then also um, the other thing that really gives it away is the where the light direction's coming from. So this card is right side up. You can see that there's a very high if you look closely, there's light coming in from this direction. So it's going this way. It gives you the three-dimensional sense of the object, and when you look down here, the light is also reflecting that it's coming from up here. So this is the bottom side. So if you look at the card upside down, you'll just know by, I mean, I don't even think about it because that's how my that's how sharp my senses are. I'm just like, oh, I'm looking at it, it's upside down. Why is it upside down? How do I know it's upside down? Oh, because the light is coming from this way. I mean, not that it really matters, but when I when I like I would like a card to be the backside to be like fully symmetrical, so that way people will not know. You know, like people who aren't familiar with the deck, it's okay. But there's other cards like I use the Good Tarot a lot in reverse, and it's okay because I'm talking to the person and engaging, so I do find ways to distract people so that way they don't they can't tell when they're looking at it. I know just by looking at it. This is actually quite subtle in comparison to the Good Tarot. The Good Tarot, like the bottom is actually dark and the top is actually light. Like you really see it. And then the top also has a light and there's no light on the bottom. So I'm just like, "Oh my God, I just looking at it. I already know. I just know that it's upside down." But I don't say anything to the person, of course. I get to each part as I get to the thing, and it really only applies to the direct messages from the higher self because most of the time the way I do readings is I I do this and then the card will flip out. So in this case it's different because they sent me the card on the top and then I saw the energy flash and I was like, oh, okay, the card's shown up, and it was the middle way. And interestingly enough, we have the ancient ones at the bottom. And you saw how many times I shuffled the deck. I grabbed from the bottom. So we're back at step one. All right, but I'm gonna take a look just to make sure that I'm not assuming I that I'm not reading this incorrectly. I'm not interpreting it incorrectly, but it looks like it is. I mean, it also makes sense that you would call it the medicine, right? What you would do to alleviate the energetic circumstances of your situation. So, where does it say here? Okay, that's interesting. They have a north, south, east, west spread. Oh, here it is. So how to work with this deck. The essence tells you the essential meaning of the card, and it talks about the symbolism, and then the invitation tells you the gifts that the spirit is extending to you at the moment. It is a call to action. That's why it's called the invitation. That makes sense. Read the invitation only if your card is upright. Ah, okay, got it. So yeah, just like looking at the energy of the medicine part, I'm just like, this is really interesting. How does this work? Because the energy of the medicine section was very different. I mean, just reading the first line, it was in complete contrast to the invitation. So the medicine tells you the aspect or area of your life or relationships that you need to bring into balance and repair. Read the medicine only if your card is reversed. Remember, there are no bad cards, so reverse cards should not be avoided. Okay, it's just funny because I know there are people that are like that, and I haven't met a card reader that does that, but there are so many spiritual people that you'll come into and be like, oh, I don't want to talk to that person because they're so negative and like they're like not in alignment with me, and I'm just like, are you in alignment with you? Because you're not grounded very much. Do you like check your grounding? So let's see. In fact, you might want to see this as extra help from the unseen world to guide and protect you. Okay, I don't subscribe to the whole protection thing. Guidance, sure. Guidance is something that's useful for anybody. But protection, no, no. I don't do protection anymore. You get to a certain point in your spiritual journey where you just realize like, oh, there's no point in protecting? Because everything that comes to you is something that you manifest and would not come into your life if it weren't something that you manifested, is not something that you are allowing to manifest into your life. So, like tragedies and, things that are like crazy things that happen, like disasters or theft and all that stuff. I don't think about any of that stuff. I don't bother like protecting myself. It's one thing to be mindful and take precaution, and it's a complete other thing to like protect yourself, like actively doing things that are that show that there's like some sort of paranoia. It's not like, oh, actually, you know what? I left my phone over here. I'm just gonna like take that in case somebody like that kind of stuff. It's like, bruh, like no one's gonna take your phone, and unless that's something that you're manifesting. Because I've left my phone for like minutes, and I left my phone at the airport one time, and that's just like a reminder for myself, like, oh shit, like I'm about to move back to California. No, I was I wasn't moving back yet. I was traveling to Texas, and it was just a reminder for myself, like, holy crap, I'm not grounded right now. Wait, hold on. Where did I leave my phone? Oh, my phone is. I was like, okay, I'm not grounded right now. I left my phone. Where the fuck is my phone? Okay, ground. Oh, boom. Phone is at Starbucks. I'm just gonna go to Starbucks. And then I found my phone. It's right next to where they drop off the drinks. Like I put my phone on the ledge. Like it's so easy to see. I put my phone in the ledge right next to where they drop off the drinks. So the drink station's right here. And like if I'm looking at you, you're behind the counter and the counter's right here, and then there's a ledge right here, and that's where my phone was. So anybody picking up their drink would see that there's a phone there. And there's a lot of people at the airport and at Starbucks, and nobody took my phone. So I was just like, holy crap, I left it there for at least 5 minutes because it took me a while to get to to get to my gate, because Starbucks was not at my gate. It took like 3 minutes to walk to my gate, and I was carrying a lot of stuff, and my luggage was heavy. So I was just taking my time. I sat down, and then I like relaxed, and then I was like looking for my phone, and I was like, oh crap, where's my phone? So then that's when I just like remembered. So when you do stuff like that, when you remember to check yourself before you put emphasis in your external stuff, you're going to be okay. It'll be fine. It'll be just dandy. Okay, nobody took my phone. It didn't even look like anybody touched it. My phone was just sitting exactly where I remembered it. So if you work on your spiritual stuff, if you work on your fears and all this other stuff, you're not going to manifest it. So what is the point in protecting yourself if nothing bad's going to happen to you? It doesn't make any sense. Now, when you're in the beginning of your spiritual journey, there's plenty of reason to be scared because you haven't worked through a lot of this stuff yet. So, it's you're still in that belief that the whole science tells us that everything's random and there's no meaning to anything and all this nonsense. So with that type of mindset, of course you're going to be like, oh, it's just like a matter of time. It's just a bad place, bad time, bad luck. No, it's none of that stuff. It's meant to happen. That's why it happens. So when you're still working through that, then yes, there's good reason to exercise caution and to protect yourself spiritually, mentally, physically, whatever it is. There's good reason for that. What I'm saying is, as you continue through your spiritual journey and progress, your ways of handling things, your ways of protecting yourself will change, and then you'll get to a point in your development where you no longer have that sense. And it's a very liberating and freeing sense where, oh, I don't need to protect myself because there's no right and wrong. There's, all this stuff. You're seeing things from a big picture standpoint. You understand why things happen in the first place. You understand why things are happening now. You understand what these reminders are. So it's just like you're realigning everything and then things start flowing again. So when I was at the airport, that's what I did. I got my phone back, things back to normal. It's like I didn't ever forget my phone to begin with, and then I stopped thinking about it. You know, a lot of people were like, "Man, I need to be more careful. I could have really lost my phone. That could have been really bad." And for me, I'm just like, "Cool, I got my phone. I'm gonna continue doing my stuff." So, very liberating when you understand like why things are happening, when you check yourself so that you don't wreck yourself. These are all very important things, and it's why I encourage anybody to continue doing spiritual work, holistic spiritual work, so emotional, mental, and physical healing. These are all tied together. So let's see. That pretty much wraps it up for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Namaskara. If you have any questions about this deck, or if you wanna like do a reading with this really awesome deck, that'll be cool. And because it normally takes like a bit of extra time, so I normally add like 10 or 15 minutes without charge for doing a reading. All right, so in conclusion, I do like this deck. This deck is really cool. If this resonates with you, if you really resonate with this type of imagery or the words and the symbolisms that they're doing in this deck, then I highly recommend it. Yeah. So I'll see you guys in the next video. I'm gonna put this. I'm gonna probably do this more regularly and upload these like maybe every Monday. So I have a lot of Oracle decks, so it'll probably take like half a year for me to get to all of these. But yeah, that's really awesome. I love Oracle decks. These are cool. And I would like to make my own sometime. I have some really nice ideas for Oracle decks that, yeah. But I'll get to it. Alright, see you guys around.